All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Bases Loaded. Again, it's a twosome. We just like doing this. Like we just keep every other week. It's a different twosome. This week it's Chris and I. Um, Blake had something come up and he can't make it, so hopefully everything's all right there, Blake. Chris, you were not here last week. What are your thoughts on the logjam of the AL West?
It's honestly fascinating, and I'm very happy to talk about the American League West.
I know
The
you
National League
are.
West, I might just run away for a minute. But no, I mean it's been fantastic. Like you look at what Seattle has done, and they've gone on an absolute tear recently and really made this a race. And I watch it and I know it brings Blake joy, but it just kills me to see what's happening to Bruce Bochy, and especially like for the Rangers as a whole, because they had such a amazing start to the year, looked fantastic, and now they just can't seem to get out of their own way, and they find themselves a game back of the division. Like I'm sure you guys talked about it last week a lot too, but that last week of the MLB season, Hill West is going to be must see television, especially with the matchups going in down the stretch. I'm very excited to see where this turns out. But hats off to Seattle. We talk about them at the trade deadline and not only not doing anything but getting rid of their closer and like just how things have turned out for them. Like Julio Rodriguez is just putting on that absolute clinic that we all have expected from him. He is carrying that team right now, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it was so. There was a period of like 4 games where he out hit and outscored the New York Yankees, and to me, that is amazing. If Shohei wasn't Shohei, you might be able to bring up him for an MVP. We'll get into what's Shohei later in the episode because I want to really kind of go over the dysfunction it's the Angels. It
Yeah.
truly is. Like it's like Seattle. Like they did this last year, but I feel like last year no one was expecting it. Like everyone this year kind of was expecting it. They just thought Seattle would not wait so long because it was not even a month ago they were at 500, and now they're in sole possession of first place.
Sole possession of first place, and they set a franchise record with 21 wins in the month of August. Like they won 21 games in the month of August. That is a crazy stat. And they passed the 97 and the 2001 Mariners teams, which what they had in common is they both made the playoffs. So
Yeah, like the way that the playoffs are now, you want to win your division because you'll get to host a playoff series. If
I
um,
mean, we watched it last year, and there's a lot to be said about not winning the division and going into the wild card. I mean, we look at what happened last year, and it's like Atlanta fell to Philly, the Dodgers fell to the Padres. The Astros were the only team that actually was it like had the first round bye and actually won. So there's something to be said on both sides, to be honest.
yeah, I love watching Julio play because sometimes he'll like make a play on defense and like he smiles like that one. God, I think he robbed. It was the home run he robbed of Tatis in
Yeah, yeah.
Seattle, and he turns around and he's like this, and he's smiling ear to ear, and I'm like, this. He, I mean, he literally is a kid. He's like what 21 years old. He's a kid playing a game. I mean, it is a kid's game, but grown-ups play it, and he's simply having the time of his life.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
And
they're
honestly, let's hope he's okay because I know he's been dealing with left foot soreness, and I think he was out of the lineup the last 2 games, I
yeah.
think.
Mhm.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens because I they are going to
The
they're going
Mets.
to Houston or the Mets, and then they go to Houston, right?
Let's see here. I just know that they play the Mets tomorrow. So
Oh no, so oh, it's a lot worse than I thought. It's in New York. It's three against Cincinnati, and then it's four against Tampa Bay.
ooh. So I need them to beat Cincy. Uh,
Why do you need them to beat Cincinnati?
because the Diamondbacks are right there playing for a wild card spot, and why don't we just get into it? The Angels put literally everybody on the waiver wire here in the last 2 days.
It was amazing to see them do that, to be honest, because especially after all of the moves at the deadline, you were like, okay, this team's going to go for it. And they just fell flat on their face.
Worst
Tony's hurt,
record in MLB
Trout's
since the
hurt.
trade deadline, so it didn't work at all.
Yeah. And then what? Giolito, Moore, and Lopez went to Cleveland. My sweet Prince Hunter Renfro is in Cincinnati as a Red now, so I will be cheering on the Cincinnati Reds. Leon went to Seattle,
I'm
and
actually really
Randall
pissed.
Grichuk's the only one left.
I'm really pissed at Cleveland because they didn't need to make the moves. They're 5 games back of the division. Like, I was really pissed because I personally wanted Giolito or Lopez for the Diamondbacks, which they did put in a waiver claim, but the way waivers work goes worst record to best record. So
It was the thing about the waiver claims, and it is interesting that they're doing that, and you wonder if the Guardians think they can make one last push for this playoff run. I mean, they're only 5 back in Minnesota, and it's not like Minnesota's been like setting the world on fire this year. So a lot can change in that division. So very interesting that they decided to go for those moves and hopefully give themselves a chance to make that final push.
So Cleveland here in September, 3 versus Tampa, 3 against the Twins. Then they go to Anaheim, San Francisco. Then they host Texas, go to KC, host Baltimore, and then they finish versus the Reds and Tigers.
I mean, the most important thing you said there is they've got 3 against the Twins head to head. If you can pull off a sweep there, picking up 3 games in that division as close as it is could be absolutely
Just
huge.
finish over 500, whoever wins the Central. I do not want to see an under 500 divisional winner host a playoff game when it's going to be Tampa or Baltimore. That's going to have over 100 wins and is going to be a wild card team. We're going to have this the second time in 3 years. What was that, 2021, where it was Dodgers and Giants, where they both got 100 wins?
Yeah, I think that was 2021. So,
yeah. I would rather them just like, okay, so here's all the teams. We're going to reseed now. But you do got to award the team for winning their division. But when it's a record like this, where it's like 20 games better, like you got to feel like they got to make some sort of change to that.
But I mean, you can't blame the teams. They didn't set the divisions. It's like they're in the divisions that they're playing in, and they just happen to be in divisions where, especially in the Central, on both ends, there's just not a lot of good teams there. So it's like, do what you have to do to get in the playoffs. Like,
I have seen some people theorize that they should just get rid of the leagues and make it 3 divisions. So all the West, all the Central, all the East.
I don't like that because then you could have theoretically a World Series between AL or NL teams, and just I don't know. I'm very against that. I like
I'm
the
not
regional list.
completely for it, but I'm not completely against it just because we have years like that. And to be honest, most years the AL Central doesn't really do anything.
I mean, it's like that in every sport, though. You look at the NFL, and there's constantly either 500, sub 500 teams that make the playoffs. The NBA, same thing. The NHL, like it's not like it's unique to baseball. It's just it's part of sports, Like if you're in a division, unfortunately, in the West, the divisions are super stacked right now. The East, super stacked. The Central, it's just mid as can be.
Yeah, we were talking about how the NL Central, like I was like, I like the look of that like 6 weeks ago. It looks a lot better now. Like I feel like, all right, this feels like it's a deserved hosting a playoff series with the Brewers, and what the Cubs have done since like the All-Star break is amazing. Yeah. They're 71-62. They're only 3 games back of the Brewers, so they're right there. And it was weird. A lot of people at the trade at the All-Star break was like, Cubs are sellers. You didn't?
Yeah.
This is why tanking or losing is not something that players and coaches do. It is something that's done by the front office and people in baseball ops, football ops, basketball ops because they want those picks. But players from the time that they've been playing are told you want to win. Like no one wants to go to work every day and lose. Like they just doesn't like players just don't have that in them. So I
Yeah, I mean, the NL Central is going to be very fascinating going down the stretch, especially with a young team like the Reds, who just are just hanging around. They're what, a game back of the wild card right now, or are they in a spot? I can't.
Reds are
Yeah, they're
one
a game out. They're
one.
a half game behind here,
Yeah. So yeah.
and I
They're
mean, we can look at like the schedules in the Central the rest of the way out, and the Reds have a really favorable schedule, to be honest. Like they have four against the Cubs, including a Friday doubleheader this week, which is always interesting when they come in. They've got a very tough Mariners team, and then the rest of the season is pretty generous to them. They've got the Cardinals, they've got the Tigers, they've got the Mets, the Twins, the Pirates, the Guardians, and they close out with the Cardinals again. And it's not like the Cardinals have looked all that impressive this year. So it will be very interesting to see how Cincinnati gets through this last month of the season and how things go.
yeah. Like you said, Cubs and Reds play. Cubs they got Cincy, San Francisco,
I got six
Arizona.
against you guys.
By the way, I don't know why MLB did this. So Diamondbacks have a 3-game series at the Cubs, and then they have a 3-game series against the Mets. They come home for 3 games, then they go back to play at the White Sox, then at the Yankees. I was like, just make it a 2-week trip and play all 4 teams. Why go back? Like, if they look poorish against that second trip, I'm gonna blame MLB for that just due to the travel.
Yeah.
Because why have them do all that traveling? Like there's no way it's more of they can't schedule those games at the same time. I'm sorry. I don't I that would be a lame excuse. Cubs though, they finish the season at the Brewers. So
And
if
they
they're
have Atlanta
close,
3 4 2. They have Atlanta for 3 in Atlanta before that. So it's not like it's going to be a cakewalk for them either.
so I think though that the Brewers will probably end up winning the division, and I feel like the wild card is going to be Phillies for sure. Phillies have just
Yeah.
Trey Turner decided to show up this season, so Philly fans are very
Well,
grateful for that.
they had to cheer him to give him some motivation because he was struggling before that. But once they did that, it's all clicked for him. And I think the thing about the Phillies, which you have to give them credit for because it happened last year and it's happening this year, they have found a way to get hot at the right time.
Yeah, like offensively, that roster's pretty dead. Also, it helps. They probably have the best starting rotation in MLB. In my opinion. Well, at
I'm
least
like
their
I'm
first
thinking
two.
about it, and I was like Atlanta's pretty strong. Like I was trying to think in my head if there was another team that I could immediately say yes to, but no, I mean they definitely have one of the top rotations, and pitching will always win, unless you're the Padres. Pitching will always win.
If especially when it comes to the playoffs in these 7-game series, if you have 2 frontline starters like they do in Nola and Wheeler, that's 4 wins right there because they're both going to pitch twice in the series. And I think that's why Philly went on the run last year because they knew they throw those guys out, you had a chance. And the fact that Bryce Harper somehow came back from Tommy John in 8 months?
Still unbelievable. I mean, let's just take a moment and talk about Bryce Harper and talk about how he was 15 on the cover of SI, and ever since then he's dealt with injuries here and there, but he has been a consistent superstar, and it's like you tip your hat to him. He obviously he doesn't have
Just
the
hit
rings that
career
somebody
home
like
run
LeBron.
number 300.
Yeah,
Which
and
is
it's like
crazy. I
he
was like,
doesn't have.
I felt like he just debuted. That's what's crazy to me.
I remember and you might remember too the 2011 MLB All-Star Game weekend in Arizona. He was in the futures game, and I watched him
Yeah.
throw somebody out from the warning track in left field and just went, "Oh my god!" Because I think it was a
Not
one
doing that
hop, just
anymore.
absolute, yeah, it was a one hop cannon. But I mean, he's the LeBron James of baseball when you look at it. Outside of the championships that have he's got his one, but I mean, he was a young kid that was in the spotlight early, never really got in trouble, gone out there, played every game that he can, and just does everything he can to help his team win. So you just have to respect it and take your hat
Swings
off
the
to him.
bat so hard. And when he
Yeah,
guesses right, dear
beautiful.
God.
It's beautiful. I mean, I'm gonna go Tuesday. I'm gonna go to Padres Philly, so I'll get to see him in person again. And
Nice.
it's always a treat when I get to see Bryce Harper in person.
Yeah, it's definitely like he's playing first base because they wanted to bring him back. He can't throw the ball. Where do you put him? Oh, yes, let's put him at first base. He can
I mean,
catch.
a pretty big injury made that decision a lot easier, I think. So
Yeah, that is true. With poor, well, Reese Hoskins is trying to pull a Kyle Schwarber.
that'd be huge
He,
for them if they can get that bat for October. Because I
oh,
mean, I don't want to jinx them, and I mean, I don't think I can at this point. But they're what 7 games up right now of not being in that wild card spot. So I mean, it's almost academic at this point that the Phillies will be representing in the playoffs.
they would have to just like have literally lose like a week straight. And
Could
I
you
think
imagine
even
losing 10 straight in August? Who would do that?
yeah, who would do that?
2010
Yeah.
Padres, baby. And I
Oh
was there for 7 of them.
my god, that was just so crazy. So crazy. All right. So this last week, Shohei Otani has been shut down because he tore his UCL again. How much money did he cost himself? Or do you think he's still going to get 600?
It's such a fascinating case study to watch because like we don't know what's going to happen next. Like, is he going to have surgery in the off season? Is that going to push his timeline back? But at this point, a team that's going to give him the money that he wants is really trusting in the his ability to be a starting pitcher. But I know we've talked about it off air before, but I just don't see a world where he's a starting pitcher for more than maybe 2 more years. But then, is he a closer? Do you
I
have
don't
this
know.
weird setup where you can somehow have him throw a bullpen session like in the hollows, like where the batting cages are, or something like that, and get him loose so he can actually warm up before he goes out to sell? I honestly don't even know. Like, this is the worst case scenario for him. I think he probably cost himself some money, but I also think branding wise, some team is still going to be willing to throw that at him.
Yeah, it's going to be the Angels because they want to keep him.
I don't think Artie can afford him.
Artie is the reason that this franchise is a mess. Like everyone's like the Angels are cursed. No, they're not. Curse is saying that they have no control what happened. They did this all to themselves.
I will never forget living in Orange County as long as I did. After was it the Mariners who got Adrian Beltre and spent a ton of money on him, that Artie Moreno got super jealous because he missed out on him, and they signed massive contracts to Josh Hamilton and C.J. Wilson back to
Yeah.
back years, and then Albert Pujols. He threw all this money at guys, and ever since then, this team has never been the same. And they made the playoffs, I think, once since then.
They have literally two of probably the top five, maybe top 10. Some people may not put Trout top five
Just top
anymore.
five, top five. I mean, injuries aside, like if we're talking, if we're adding in injuries,
If he played like a full like 140 plus, yeah, he is top five. He's made the playoffs once and he got swept. You can't say he's the best player of a generation. Can you?
I mean, his unfortunate demise is the injury thing. It's just since like his arrival in MLB, he's one of the most fun players to watch. He is great defensively, he's great offensively, but the big asterisk is when he's healthy, and he just cannot seem to stay healthy anymore. And it reminds me of a Grady Sizemore, where like he was an incredible talent when he was on the field, but he could
Yeah.
just never stay on the field. Like I think Trout's better than that, obviously, and when it is all said and done, he's probably still a Hall of Famer. But just if he can't figure out a way to play at least 120 games for his team each year, like he's not worth it.
It's just it's sad, really. Like, and so he came back what, like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago for about 24 hours. Like he tried to play and then immediately went back on the IL.
It really is crazy. So since 2019 he played 134 games. After that, we won't count 2020 because obviously that the year didn't count, titles and all. 2021 he played 36 games. Last year he did play 119 games. This year he's only played 82. Like for the money he's making and the player you expect from him, like that can't be the case. That just
No.
cannot be the case. And I hope, like, honestly, at this point, we started talking about it and we obviously veered way off. But with the Angels releasing all these players, like clearly they're waving the white flag this year. So shut him down for the rest of the year. Let him get himself right, whether it's any like surgeries or anything he has to have, whatever it is. Just let him get right for a period of time and just hope you can get a great year out of him next year because I mean, once again, if he can surpass 120, like he can be a difference maker on that team.
It's just gonna have to see, is Shohei gonna be with him next year?
No.
I don't think so either. I think the way that apparently Shohei had some arm fatigue a couple weeks ago, and they
Yeah.
left it up to him if they should do some imaging, which I think was a bad. No, y'all should have done it. You probably could have caught it then. I don't know if it would have made a difference.
I don't think it would have made a difference. But yeah, no, they like I feel like at that point when Shohei said, "No, I'm not doing this," and they said, "Okay," I think that's when they all knew like he's gone.
Yeah, he's absolutely gone. My personal pick is Seattle.
I like it, honestly. Like I think that would be a very good choice for him. It'd be very interesting for him to stay in the AL West, but it's definitely a West Coast team, and I think it's Seattle. I think it's the
Yankee
Dodgers,
fans, he's
and
not going to New York. Just stop.
I've said it for a while, but I do think the Giants are a sleeper team when it comes to getting to them.
Yeah, I think Giants are probably my number 2 spot. You know who's gonna try because he thinks that's gonna fix the issue. Your boy AJ is probably going to. And I'm like, has this season proved absolutely nothing?
I will say AJ throwing money at a guy with arm issues and praying to God it works out sounds pretty on course for that guy.
it's it's so on par for him.
I will
Yeah.
say I really don't want to talk about the Padres a lot today because obviously it's been god awful, but I will say this. AJ Preller needs to go. But Peter Seidler, for some reason, absolutely adores him and will let him get away with destroying this franchise. Like from the top to the bottom, AJ Preller has way too many hands in the pot and just does not know how to get out of his own way. And my biggest fear right now is that Bob Melvin's just going to quit because he does not want to deal with this bullshit anymore.
I I've seen a lot of Padres Twitter blame it on Melvin. I'm like, this is not on Bob Melvin.
That's not. Those are just idiots. There's nothing on Melvin. Melvin can't get these guys to put an effort in, and yeah,
It's just yeah, and then I think I heard like he wanted to bat Xander in the 2 spot to start the year. Xander's like, no, because I won't get my numbers. And I'm like,
there's.
wow.
I will say, like from what I've heard, there is a lot of issues in that clubhouse. There's a lot of them, and there's gonna have to be major overhaul this offseason. And I think getting rid of Juan Soto is probably, and as insane as it is probably one of the best things this team
Are
can
they
do.
gonna trade him or just let him play that final
He's got one
arbitration?
year left. You trade him and hope to God you can get something for him because I just from what everything you hear, like he's just he's a very young cocky, arrogant kid, and
Thank you,
he just
media. That's what it is. Like,
you win a title at 21 and you become like an all-world hitter. Like, of course you're gonna get an inflated ego, but I just yeah. I will say it, Pete Alonso to San Diego would be such a huge piece.
I mean, if so, would you do straight up Pete Alonso for Juan Soto?
I do Soto, Grisham, and some other stuff for Alonso and maybe a starting pitcher.
It's not going to be some guy, I can tell you that.
Gonna say Fernando Tatis will be our center fielder next year, so
Yeah,
it's
I'm like,
finding yeah.
what Fernando has done in right field for literally playing 10 games before the start of the year is amazing. Like, he sometimes he may take a bad route to a ball, but he's
But he
so
makes up for it.
athletic.
Yeah.
He's so fast, he's so athletic, he can make up for it. And I feel like he
And
doesn't have as many errors too. He has a lot of outfield assists, which is amazing to me.
yeah, it's been incredible to watch him, and especially like to watch a guy like that go from shortstop to right field after everything he through and pick up the like obviously he's not perfect like we said. There's been some issues here and there, but his cannon and his ability to chase down balls, like it's amazing to watch, honestly. And I feel like him in center field, he's gonna be the best center fielder in baseball in 2 years.
Uh we'll see. I think personally, my center fielder is a future Gold Glove winner.
Oh,
I would
he
either.
made a decent catch a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago, right?
You freaking kidding me? Damn Braves fans were like, "Oh, Michael Harris makes that play easy." That play is only made when you take the correct route. If you
Yeah.
go too far or you go too up close, you don't make that play. And the thing is, he's not fast like Tatis. He reads the ball right off the bat. He's just able to read the ball right. I was at that game and I lost my shit. I was like, oh my gosh, he caught that? Like, it was like he just needs to be playing enough games. He missed about
So
60 games because he was down in AAA. So I don't think he's going to get the recognition this year. Because if you look at defensive stats like defensive run saves and
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, he's not up there. But I think he's going to get at least one in a couple years.
Question. We're talking about defensive like specialists and we're talking about all this stuff. Does Hassan Kim win a gold glove at second base?
If he fucking does it this year, it's a damn crime.
That's all I'm
Like,
saying.
who
Yeah,
else in the
yeah.
National League wins that? Like,
Albies?
no, not even close. No, that it. All right. He's gonna be a finalist for sure. Kim, personally, some of the plays that he's made, or maybe he gets the utility one because he's played second, third, and short. But he should win one this year. If he
I
doesn't,
will say he is our team MVP, and there's not even a
it's not even
question of it
close.
right now. He is the best player this year on the San Diego Padres, and I love that sweet print so much. And really quickly, I want to apologize because it is 5-0 Giants in the third.
Oh my god. Yeah, they have given up. They gave up weeks ago.
I mean, they went on a road trip where they needed to win games, and they went 1-6. Like, I did not for the first time in I think I texted you this, but for the first time in probably like 10 years, I did not watch a single pitch from a single game in a single series that the Padres played. That
Yeah,
Milwaukee series, I was like, I had no desire to watch any of it. Like, I had some other stuff to do, and I just kept myself occupied. But I was like, I'm not watching this crap. And I would look at my phone every once in a while and be like, okay, good choice.
yeah, you didn't.
Sports.
You're like, oh, this. Yeah, it was. Their expectation was, I mean, as it should have been. With the top four of that lineup, there is no reason that it should not have been World Series. But unfortunately, you do not win a game on paper, and I guess the chemistries didn't mesh. I'm gonna ask you this: is the Xander contract as bad as the Hosmer contract? Because I saw a lot of talk of that the
Yes.
last. Really?
Yes, because I think he's in a decline, and I don't think he's getting any better. And I think it's very similar to Hosmer, where he had fantastic years in KC, and he was just kind of at his plateau. And the second he came here, he started doing this. And Xander's in that same boat right now, where yes, he had a fantastic April, and then ever since then, like he's had spurts, but the wrist injury, just he is not a good defensive shortstop. Like I would give anything to put Hassan Kim there, and
By
maybe
the
next
way,
year.
though, I don't know if you watched. It was either yesterday or Tuesday. Out of basically, he's second in least number of errors at shortstop in the National League. No, no, no. I think all in Major League Baseball. Out of like guys that actually have played enough games for it,
Yeah,
he has only 6 errors, and I think number one was Carlos Correa, who was at 5. Yeah, this shortstop class with Trey Turner, Correa, Bogarts, Swanson. Swanson is running away with this thing.
I was gonna say Bogarts is the worst by far, and it's not even close. So, like, I just hope we move him to first base next year. Maybe move Kim to short. Maybe bring up Jackson Merrill. Who knows? Like, he is on this trajectory and in the minors, and they've been putting him in the corner outfield positions, which I think like kind of touches on the T space. But I meant to send it to you before we got on, and I totally forgot to. But there's a Twitter account, Letters to AJ, that has been putting out some fantastic statistical information when it comes to the Padres. And he just put out an article about just their inability to hit in clutch situations, and it is a depressing slash fascinating read.
Yeah. Do you think AJ brings up Solace next year to save his job?
See, my problem at this point is from everything I've heard, unless AJ gets into some sort of legal trouble, like if he shoots somebody in the head, that might be the only reason he's actually getting let go. Like, I don't know what trance he has over Seidler, but Seidler trusts him to the brim. Like, the money's still coming in. The only thing I can think is if there's somehow we get into a situation where fans stop showing up next year because they're so bad, which I mean, they still had basically a packed house tonight. Like, that's not changing anytime soon.
Probably
So
because it's season ticket holders, and they're like, "I already paid. I may as well go."
yeah, but I'm in this just sad place where I just don't see a scenario where he leaves anytime soon because it's not going to be of his own accord, and Seidler's not going to fire him for whatever the reason it is. But there's so many more people that I would rather bring in and actually give a chance to help fix this organization and fix this roster. You look at the staff that he has under him, and I was talking to a buddy about this, and the number of staff he has under him as opposed to a lot of other teams, it's like it's laughable because every other team has probably double or triple the employees because they have so many people doing so many different things. And AJ just has this mindset where he's just like, oh, you're going to be in charge of this, and this. That's cool. Okay. And it falls from the wayside. Like the man just expects everybody to be a crazy human being like he is, and that's not how it works. You need to bring in a lot of people to build success.
It's why everyone goes to the Dodgers because that player development staff is without a doubt the best in
Top
Major
tier.
League Baseball.
I mean, they showed
The
here in
amount of
top
players
tier.
that they've turned around is insane. And it happens every year. They get like 2 or 3 that they go there. Like Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn was just nothing, and he gets traded there.
Jason
And
Hayward, like you can just put names out there as
the
much as
only
you
one that
like.
didn't work on was Noah Syndergaard, and that's probably because he's just done.
Yeah, because he got released again, right? He's free
He
agent now.
did, and then he posted a tweet basically trashing Cleveland, and then he ends up deleting it. He's like, "Who wants to live in Cleveland anyway?"
I was gonna say, like, if you're a pitcher, if there's any team you want to go to, if you look at their proven track record over the last like 10, 15 years, how is Cleveland not at the top of that list? Like, you look at all the starting pitchers that they put out there that have consistently just gotten better and they go to other teams and continue to thrive. But it's like, if Cleveland can't fix you, bro, I don't know. And what a fall from grace for Noah Syndergaard. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just how this sport works, especially this day and age. The way people pitch, the way their arms are, it can change in an instant. And when it changes, you never get it back. And it's just amazing.
It's just crazy. So, I just want to say this: Corbin Carroll is the NL Rookie of the Year. There's no way
Yeah.
he doesn't win it now.
Yeah. He's done enough the last like 2 months to hold off Ellie. And obviously there's gonna be a lot of
First of
people
all,
that just
Ellie
want it.
isn't even the best rookie on his team. That's Matt McLean.
Yeah.
And Reds and D-backs played this past weekend, and Corbin had like 6 hits in 3 games. He had his bobblehead given out last Saturday. His first at bat, he hits a triple down the line. So
I love it.
yeah, I'm just. I felt really good with Zach Gallen for Cy Young, and then he faced the Dodgers on Monday, and oh my god,
It's gonna hurt my feelings when I'm super happy for him because it's well deserved, but Blake Snell's gonna win that and he's gonna get way too much money next year. And I honestly, like we talked about Shohei going to Seattle,
Blake
Blake going home to Seattle makes so much sense.
Yeah, I mean, I just, I'm, I know everyone's like Blake Snell, Cy Young. Everyone brings up his ERA, but I'm like, his whip is really high.
I think I text you, but remember what I told you? He may be the first player in MLB history to lead a league in walks and ERA in the
Right.
same season.
And like everyone brings up, well, he doesn't let them come in, so that shouldn't matter. But I'm like, I don't know. Everyone was like, oh, and then you got Cubs fans saying Justin Steele, and I'm like, he's not pitching enough innings for me. Like,
Yeah.
I think Zach's at like 170 innings. I think Snell's at like 147. So like
149.
yeah, so like it's just there's a big gap there. So, but yeah, I think
I will say Blake Snell leads the league in ERA. He's second in the league in strikeouts, and
yeah.
he is at 149 innings. Like he has done everything in his power to earn this Cy Young award, and I mean, I would
I'm
love to
not
see it
saying that if
honestly.
he wins it, it's not deserving, but it's not. So I feel like there's no one in the National League that is having a great season. There's a couple that are like Snell, Gallen, Steele, and God, what's his name?
Sengai. I mean, Sengai's having a great year too.
No,
He's
Braves pitcher, the guy that has
Strider.
yeah. Everyone brings up. Look at all of his strikeouts. Look at his ERA. It's like 3.5. And then everyone brings up, oh, that's because of one bad game. At this point in the season, being at 3.5, that's not one bad game. That is a month of bad games. He strikes out like 8 or 9 every game. Like he's leading by strikeouts by a margin, a ridiculous margin. So I just personally don't think he's Cy Young. It's probably, I want it to be Gallen for selfish reasons, but it's most likely going to be Snell. Unless Snell has like a couple outings where he gives up 4 or 5 runs, which he doesn't. He should, based on all the walks he gives up, but he somehow, it's the strikeouts. He just strikes them out, and he only goes
It's
5 innings
crazy,
because
yeah.
he has like 90 pitches through 5.
Yeah, I feel like it was the last game he was in there. He walked the bases loaded like twice and struck out multiple dudes to get out of it. And it's just
Yeah.
like it's like the man loves drama. I don't know.
He
Like
does.
he just loves drama. But it was interesting because I when we started talking about the NL rookie of the year, and I mean Corbin's in first, but there are 3 Reds in the top 7 of the odds.
Yeah.
And Koda Sengai's hanging
McLean,
out there, and
Clear.
like Kodai could be a guy that like if he has a very strong end of the year and puts up some phenomenal numbers, he might get a look at that, especially if you're top 5 in the Cy Young as a rookie. That could transition to getting some votes for rookie of the year. But yeah, I know at this point it's Corbin Carroll's to lose.
Yeah, I think the only way Corbin doesn't get it is if he has a awful month. He just passed 40 stolen bases. He's at like 24 homers. I would love to see 30 homers, 50 steals.
That'd be
The
amazing.
homers I'm a little worried about because he literally went the entire month of August with none, but he's gotten 3 in the last week. I think he'll get the steals part. I just don't know if he's gonna hit enough homers to get that 30. But there's no way. And then you got Dodger fans bring up, what about James Outman? No, y'all, just stop. Yeah, I'm like, y'all gonna win the division. So there, you can have that. And then you're gonna, who knows? God, I'm gonna laugh so hard if they somehow
Win.
win over 100 games again and they lose in the divisional round. Like it happened. It's happened so many times. Can you really keep Dave Roberts? Because he might be one of those guys that can kind of get you to the playoffs, but he can't get you over the hump. We see it in a lot of other sports.
The Dave Roberts thing is fascinating because if I was a Dodger fan and I saw how this team plays in October year in, year out, and just the decisions he makes, he should have been gone years ago. But he just hangs around because they have such great regular seasons, and
They
he
do.
just can't find a way to win in the postseason, honestly. And it's fascinating because I think even if it's a first round exit this year, I still don't think they get rid of him unless Bob
Because
Melvin quits and then goes to the Dodgers and wins like 3 World Series. Which, now that I'm saying it, seems to make a lot of sense.
like I feel like any other good manager would have won 1 or 2 at this point
Yeah.
with
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah.
the with the
With those
talent that they
rosters,
have.
like, yeah.
And the thing is, they might get Walker Bueller back this month,
Yeah,
or actually
I
technically
saw
next month.
he's a rehab start is coming down the horizon, so there's a really good chance, unfortunately, that they might get him back, and that would be an absolutely massive boost for that team that is definitely
Yeah,
struggling with starting pitching right now.
yeah, definitely is there. But no, it was a good episode. Everyone, make sure if this is your first time watching, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future content. We started like 2 months ago. We almost had all 3 teams on the pod slated for the playoffs. We might just finish with 1, y'all. It's every year. It's always
Just the
just
Diamondbacks,
Blake.
right?
Actually, that is entirely possible.
It's very.
Because
I mean, we look at the AL wild card race, and it's a dogfight right now. And I mean, I think it's slowly turning into a 4 team race with the Blue Jays, the Rangers, the Astros, and the Rays. But with that last week of the season, man, anything can happen.
that's why you play all 162. You don't play 160. You don't play 155. You play all 162.
I
I don't know
wish
how
I could
much
have gone
longer
Rob
that's going to
Lowe
take.
and just wore. I wish I could have worn like a black shirt with just a black hat that had the MLB logo on it because I'm just a fan of baseball now. Like I'm looking forward to watching these races down the stretch because we look at both wild card races and they're fantastic. Like the NL West
Yeah.
obviously has a couple more teams involved, but it's going to be a dogfight going down to the end, and I'm super excited to see where this rolls out.
I Problem is I did not have expectations for the playoffs this year with the Diamondbacks. Then they started really hot in the first 2 months. I'm like, you know what? It's possible, and the fact is they keep hanging right there. So like now I kind of want them to. So I really really hope they do. So everyone, we do appreciate you for stopping by. See y'all next time.